Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. We're just waiting for everybody to enter the room. As you come in, just familiarize yourself with the chat box at the bottom of the screen, and just say hi and tell us where you're from. We've got quite a few people coming in already. Feel free to start chatting at the bottom in your chat box. We're going to be waiting 2 minutes before we go live. And this is just to give everybody a chance to settle in, get mics working, get everything up and running how they need to. Tonight, Ellen's going to be doing the second part of her organ therapy, organ support. And this is a follow-on. If you'd missed out on the previous ones, just drop us an email, go to the college website, or email us at admin@thecph.co.uk, and yeah, and we'll send you the link to the previous recording. Let us know where you're from. Hi, from Susanna from Canterbury, Gupri from London, Anika from Maine. Anybody else out there that wants to say hello, say hello. Ross from London, hello. We have 1 more minute and then we will be going live with Ellen. Ellen's currently situated in Ghana. She is out there doing some clinic work, and while doing her clinic work, she got quarantined in Ghana, so they can't leave at the moment, and so she'll be broadcasting from there. Sometimes the internet is a bit ropey on that side, but we seem to have a good line, and it all should be well. So just 1 more minute. We're just waiting for people to come in. Salvador from Spain, hello. Santosh from London. Helen from Guildford. Oh, that's not far from me. I'm based in Farnham. My name's Tanya Kent, and I am also a homeopath, but I chose a bit of a different path. I chose to help people with the health industry, with making themselves more known in the tech industry. Email address for part 1, yes, Denise. I will drop it into the main section at the bottom, and then you'll be able to get that, or just go to the college website. Right, Dora from Hampstead. Awesome, welcome, Dora. So with further ado, it is now 3 minutes past. I'm going to hand you over to Ellen. Let's just get Ellen up. Hi, Ellen. Can you hear me?
Hi, good evening.
There we go. And I'm going to hand over to Ellen in a few seconds. Ellen's going to do a chat for 30 seconds, for 30 minutes, or sorry. And then she is going to, then we're going to hand over to questions. There is a Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions as Ellen is going along, pop them into the Q&A section. If you stick them in the chat section, it makes it difficult for me to find the questions. So stick it in the Q&A section, and at the end of the 30-minute talk, Ellen's going to be answering all your questions. So yeah, nobody can actually physically talk. You'll have to type. This is just so that Ellen can stay on track time-wise. We will be finishing at 9 o'clock, and I'm going to hand over to Ellen.
Good evening from Ghana. As Tanya said, we ended up being in a lockdown. I'm here with Kamiko, one of the students from Japan who came to help out on the outreach clinic. We've seen some very, very interesting cases. And as my daughter said, we were in La La Land, not realizing that the whole world was locking down. It's a very different place when you're out in the villages dealing with people. It's slower, there's no rush, and there is definitely no news about what is going on in the outside world. So from there, I will carry on. Kamika, do you want to say hello to everyone?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I'm glad to join the online webinar today. And I would like to say that the experience in Ghana is very fantastic so far. I saw many interesting cases that I would not see in Japan, and I witnessed the strong constitution of Ghanaian villages. I was so surprised that homeopathy works so quickly and effectively in Ghana to the villagers. So yeah, and so far my experience here is very, really fantastic.
So we don't mind being locked in here at the moment. So what I'm going to do is just quickly recap what we did in part one. Part one, we talked about the method of dealing with organ supports. In part two, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the different organs, remedies that are related to different organs, especially when you're looking at time modalities. Okay, so the thing with the Chinese medicine is that the way I use this is an observational tool, and it has a 5,000-year-old history. So it's a very ancient system of medicine based on observation. When I was studying as a student, when people had different aggravations at different times, my first instinct was to try to find a remedy without understanding what those time modalities were. So the time modalities are part of the conversation that the body has when it's talking to you about its symptoms. Symptoms do not appear randomly from nowhere. They are there because there's an underlying cause going on that hasn't been addressed. You can look at that causation as a trauma, but it is keeping the body from actually healing itself. So this biosuit, your body, is self-healing. If it's unable to heal, there are obstacles to cure, like malnutrition. That's a biggie. Toxicity, and that can come from the food you're eating, the drugs you're taking, and also toxic emotions. These all affect the body in some way. So the way I use this is I'm looking at time modalities and which organs are not functioning. I'm going to go through some of the remedies which are related to specific organs. Now, in organ supports, usually people use low potencies when they're doing organ supports, but from clinical experience, I've actually found you don't necessarily have to use low potencies if you don't want. You can use low potencies, you can use tinctures, but actually you can use remedies in higher potencies depending on what's going on for your patient. So as a practitioner, don't be afraid of breaking out of the constraints that you can only use very low potencies like the X potencies. You can use higher potencies if you want. So last time in part one, we went through each of the organs and their time modalities. When I was training as a homeopath and I got into the 5 elements, this is how I found remedies for my children and their coughs, etc. Was if they coughed at a particular time, like 11 p.m. at night, I knew that that was a gallbladder time, and I was be looking at gallbladder remedies like pulsatilla. Okay, if they were coughing at 3 a.m., I'd be looking at big lung remedies, such as Kali Carb, because they have that time modality in the lung hour. 1 a.m., arsenicum, big lung remedy. So it just helps you to really home in and try to understand which organ is weak. It doesn't matter what the symptoms they come to you with or what the disease is, you're looking at the organ, because if the organ isn't functioning, it's what becomes one of your obstacles to cure. So the gallbladder, its time modality is between 11 p.m. and 10 a.m. in the morning. It's a small storage tank. And what this does is when you eat fats, the problem with modern people is we're actually not eating the right fats. The right fats stimulate the gallbladder to squeeze and to release gall so that you can break it down. If we're not eating the right fats, it doesn't get that stimulus, and you are susceptible to gallstones. There are a lot of medications which have an impact on you, particularly the female contraceptive pill, which actually damages the gallbladder in some way, and a lot of women lose their gallbladder because they've been on the pill for a very long time. And this is why pulsatilla is a big gallbladder remedy, but also it's a big remedy for never been well since being on the pill. So some of the emotions around this is anger. Another thing that you'll see with people in, low gallbladder energy is they become very timid and indecisive. They can't make their minds up. And once the gallbladder starts getting better, then they start to be able to make decisions for themselves. If the gallbladder is out of balance, they don't make, decisions. So we're going to look at tinctures and remedies. One of my favorite remedies, and it's also a very big tincture, or you can buy it as, herbal capsules, is Carduus marianus. This stimulates the flow of bile, and it's good for gallstones. It's good for the gallbladder, but this remedy is great for inflammation, and it also has an affinity for the lungs. So you can either use it as a tincture, you can use it as a remedy, you can use it low potency, or if you want, you can use it, much higher. But what it does is that it would the liver tissue. For women who are breastfeeding, it stimulates lactation. So it's a liver, lung, and spleen remedy. Right now, with all that's going on for a lot of people, this would be a very, very good tincture to be on because it would support the lungs. It would take down inflammation. So it's one of my favorites. Another favorite remedy, you'll see this a lot in children, is chamomilla. Ailments from anger. So what sets them off in this particular state where they've got colic, diarrhea, is anger. It's unexpressed anger. Okay, and when you don't express your anger, this can be held in the gallbladder or the liver, and you start building stones. If you've got small children that are teething, you'll experience this remedy. They go into a rage, and that rage means that they don't want you to look at them. If you look at them, they start throwing a tantrum, screaming, etc., etc. Many a times I walked through supermarkets and seen children doing what I call a chamomilla special. Pulsatilla, this is the #1 remedy for the gallbladder. It doesn't like rich, fatty foods. Patients, people needing this find that they put on weight really easily. It is such an amazing remedy for hormonal imbalances. Never been well since the pill, because the pill damages the liver and the gallbladder. So this is very, very important. They love rich fatty foods, but actually it gives them indigestion. It's different from the other gallbladder and liver remedies in the sense that they're quite timid and they need a lot of attention. So if your child is in a pulsatilla state, they're extremely clingy. They need that attention. If they're teething, it's very different from chamomilla, which is you know, they go into a rage. With pulsatilla, they actually look a picture of sorrow and you feel really sorry for them, but it's a big gallbladder remedy. Okay, you've got the liver. It's one of the largest organs in the body, and it is filtrating blood and removing infectious organisms. It processes approximately 3 pints of blood every minute. It's connected with the function of the cardiovascular, the digestive system, and the excretory system and metabolism. When I used to go to lessons on Qigong, my Qigong teacher would say, don't mess with the liver, because if you mess with the liver, it's going to mess with you. This organ will govern the whole digestive system. It needs certain nutrients to stay healthy. And one of the things that it needs is sulfur, MSM, and it needs to be able to produce glutathione. So glutathione, if you're taking it as a supplement, is quite expensive. But if you take NAC, N-acetylcholine, then it can convert that protein into glutathione, and that helps with the detoxification process. So it's an amazing organ, and treat it well. Now, if it's not functioning, what you get is anger and rage. Any anger and rage that's held in, the big remedy for releasing that will be carcinosin. It helps you to release all the suppressed emotions. If this organ isn't functioning properly, then your susceptibility to cancerous states goes up. So, number one remedy for the liver is chelidonium. It's a gallbladder and liver remedy. It has pains on the right side, and it's one of the big remedies for liver cancer. If you're doing liver cancer, then it needs to be in a very high potency, because cancer is actually an acute remedy, an acute state. So you need higher potencies. Even though the patient looks very weak, the actual expression of the disease state is quite acute. So it's one of my favorite remedies for ailments from anger. Any, you know, so you've got chamomilla, ailments from anger, you've got chelidonium, ailments from anger. And you need to work with your patients to find out where their suppressed anger is. Hydrastis. Now, hydrastis is a great cancer remedy. It's for jaundice and all sorts of problems in the digestive system. So as I said earlier, the liver governs the digestive system. So this is one of the remedies that you may want to use when people are suffering from acid reflux. As a tincture or as a remedy, you can use it for that. And again, it has cutting pains from the liver into the right scapula, very, very similar to chelidonium. And if you're not sure how to differentiate between the two remedies, then I would definitely look at combining those, you know, those remedies together. So it just makes it easier for you to get the results that you want. There's a lot of catarrh in the system. They're very, very, very congested. And I understand with the current flu virus that's going on that it makes you very, very catarrhal. So you can see that the liver remedies are quite important in supporting patients through this acute system. Okay, you've also got iris. Now, iris is a remedy for which has an affinity for the liver, but it's a fantastic remedy for migraine headaches. It supports the liver to detoxify, and especially if you're getting migraine headaches that have their origin in the liver, you want to look at iris. It's an anti-inflammatory herb, and it's useful when there's constipation with liver problems. You'll often see that when the liver isn't functioning well, that you do get constipation. So iris is a small remedy. You often don't see it, but it is there, and it is important, especially when it's associated with migraine headaches related to the liver. If you're into combination remedies, then one of the combination remedies that the Narayani do is they do a liver mix which has carduus, chelidonium. It's got other liver remedies like china, lycopodium, mercury, and phosphorus, or you can look at liver balance, which has all of these in, but it also has SAR codes in it. Okay, the lungs. 3 to 5 a.m. is when the energy passes to the lungs. The lungs are emotionally linked to grief and sadness. So when I'm looking at a case and I see that people are waking up within that area, what I want to understand when I look at their timeline, or I'll ask them the question, is what's grieving you? Because sometimes when you ask people what happened before the symptoms started, they often can't relate to a specific event that triggered off the symptoms. So you can go in with a different approach, which is what's grieving you. And it may not be obvious to them that they're in a grief, but it may be that they have a grief around losing their cat, their dog. You know, for me, I'm not a big pet lover, but for them, it's a big issue. Or the fact that they were made redundant 5 years ago, not immediately, and this grief has never been released. For some patients, the grief can be so deep, and it's been going on for 15 or 16 years. They've not been able to actually process and release that grief. And then, but what they do find is they're waking up within the lung hour, 3 to 5 a.m. every morning. They're not sleeping properly and they're waking up there. And they're not aware that they're sitting on this deep history of grief. So this is how you can use, you know, the 5 elements to understand the language of the body. It will speak to you in different ways. So don't miss that conversation. There are some great remedies for the lung, and one of them is Yerba Santa, and it's for asthmatic and bronchial disorders. So again, when you're looking at the present situation with this flu, it produces a lot of mucus, and Yerba Santa is about helping the body to cough up all this mucus. They feel better by getting rid of this mucus. So it's a very big asthma remedy. I usually use this remedy when I'm trying to clear out mucus that's been sitting there for a long time because the patient has been on bronchial dilators like Ventolin. So I'll often use this in combination to support the patient to cough up that mucus, because what a bronchial dilator does is it stops you from coughing up that mucus. And after a while, the mucus begins to accumulate in the bronchial tubes, and the cilia, which are there to clear out dust, particles, etc., get clogged up and they don't function. And then people find that they're more likely to have severe asthma attacks. So once I've weaned them off their drugs, I use Yerba Santa to get them coughing up what has been sitting in the lungs, in the bronchial tubes for a very, very long time. You see, when you take Ventolin, you don't cough. And people think that by not coughing, you know, their asthma is a lot better. But in fact, the coughing is a way, you know, the mucus is actually the way the body tries to take down the inflammation, and then the body coughs that up. Okay, so when you're taking things like Ventolin, it stops that natural process and there's mucus accumulating. So Yerba Santa is a small remedy, but is fantastic from getting you to cough up. And as you can see, it's also a remedy for coughs that come with influenza. If you're looking at what we're going through now with COVID-19, it would be one of the remedies you may want to consider giving to patients or adding it. I normally add it to my combination of cough remedies. When you're looking at the Narayani remedies, you've got things like lung balance. And in lung balance, you've got ant tart, which is a big accumulation of mucus. You've got calibic, which is this thick, tenacious mucus. And I think that this particular virus produces a very thick, tenacious mucus that people find extremely hard to cough up. Grindilla, this is again another very, very small remedy. And it relaxes the muscles, the heart muscles. So this acts in the same way as your Ventolin without any of the side effects. Okay, so you can use this in combination with your yerba santa. Lobelia, again, one of my favorite remedies, and it's an anti-asthmatic. It stops the spasms in the bronchial tube, and it acts like a bronchial dilator. One of the great things about lobelia as a remedy, whether you use it as a tincture or use it as a remedy, is that it actually stops people from wanting to smoke. You know, it puts them off smoking. So it's a big anti-smoking remedy. Tasalago, I love this remedy. One is that, again, as a cough remedy, if you can get it as a tincture, I think it's difficult to buy it as a tincture, but as a remedy, you may want to use it in a low potency. It is very rich in zinc. And this is one of the things that they say a lot of people who are susceptible to the infection is that they have low levels of zinc. So Tussilage is another remedy that will help in the current situation. Zinc protects you from chronic diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure. Okay, so it's good for acute and chronic bronchitis, irritating coughs, and asthma. The large intestines, okay, 5 to 7 a.m. in the morning. So when you've got problems here, it's along the Chinese meridian for the lung. You can get toothache, pains, lung disorders, but the biggie is sinusitis. When I see somebody who's got sinusitis, I know that my problem is in the large intestine. Looking at the nose, if you're trying to deal and heal the nose, actually you're working in the wrong place. You've got to get the large intestines working properly. If the large intestines are clogged and sluggish, you will feel very, very tired. And again, coughs, colds, and immune system problems. So a lot of people who are susceptible to flu, etc., you know, ask them, are you constipated? Because you'll find most people are constipated. I talked about this before in part 1, that if you think that going to the toilet once a day is enough, it's not. You should actually be going about half an hour to an hour after a main meal. So if you're eating 2 main meals a day, that should get you, you know, to the toilet using your precious toilet paper. Okay, so we've got some small remedies that are important. And agrimony. And this is a tonic. It has a tonic action on the liver and the digestive system. And it helps with colitis, excessive mucus. It takes down inflammation. So it's good for colitis, appendicitis, indigestion, and especially childhood diarrhea. So again, depending on how acute, I always say to people, look, you're looking at potencies. The more acute the potency, the higher the more acute the symptoms, the higher the potency. aloe. Now, it's a fantastic remedy for the liver, the colon, and the pelvis. And again, there's this, when you need to use this remedy, there's this feeling with the diarrhea that your rectum isn't tight enough, and that you're just going to have an accident. So as a remedy, it deals with all of that. But if you're taking aloe vera juice, it is quite a nice tonic for the digestive system. Again, emotionally, there's a lot of anger that's held in, that they can't let go of. And the bowels are always about letting go of emotions, being able to let go of emotions and move on. Okay, you've got the stomach, and this is linked to assimilation, the ability to assimilate the new. And I think for a lot of people, they'll find that their stomach doesn't quite feel right because so much has been happening that you have to anticipate. And the hour for the stomach is between 7 and 9 a.m. And you'll see that children, if they're starting a new school or school for the first time, will often complain that their stomach doesn't feel right, or they've got stomach pains, etc. So, aniseed. This is a central nervous herb. You can drink the tea. It's very, very pleasant, but it calms the whole of the stomach. You're wanting to look at herbs that have a calmative effect on the stomach, because it is actually nervousness that affects how healthy the stomach will work. So you're looking at indigestion, colic, and coughs and bronchitis when you're looking at aniseed. Very, very pleasant tasting herb. I quite like it. I have a sort of slight penchant to ouzo. But anyway, let's move on from that. So Melissa, again, is a very, very good herb for a nervous stomach. And I think that Walida do a Melissa comp, which has Melissa in and other remedies. And this really does soothe the a nervous stomach. And it's good for dyspepsia, etc. The worst thing you can do if you've got acid reflux and indigestion is take antacids. This tends to exacerbate the problems in the stomach because of the way they alter the pH. And usually, if you're suffering from acid reflux, it's because you're not digesting your proteins properly. And you, in fact, need more hydrochloric acid, not less. The thing with proton pumps and antacids is, one is that especially antacids are full of aluminium. And secondly, they stop you from absorbing all known nutrients. So they basically starve you slowly, and you will end up with more and more chronic diseases. So it's worth using things like Melissa to calm, or aniseed to calm the system. One of my favorites is peppermint, because that does the same thing. But the other big anti-acid is licorice. Licorice is a really, really important remedy in terms of anti-acid, along with hydrastis. I mentioned that earlier. Hydrastis and licorice work more effectively as anti-acids than taking over-the-counter medication. So if you've got a problem with acid reflux, look and see where it's coming from. If it's coming from stress, then you want to look at remedies like Nux vomica, but then I would look at, giving licorice, getting people to drink licorice tea or licorice tincture. The thing with licorice, it's a stimulating herb. So you want to get them to do 2 weeks on, see how they get on, and maybe take them off for a week, because it has anti-inflammatory properties and acts a little bit like a steroid. So go for the remedy if you can get the remedy. The spleen, time modality, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So it is interrelated to the cardiovascular system and is responsible for the breakdown of spent hemoglobin. The spleen in Chinese medicine is the holding tank for the blood. It's responsible for the immune system and the antibodies and antigens. So it's a very, very important organ. Number one of these remedies is Ceanothus americanus. This is the big remedy for spleen cancer. The pains are deep. Okay, they feel chilly and feverish. And the spleen does not feel right. It's also good as a mouthwash. And you can use it for leukorrhea and gonorrhea. So it's a fantastic remedy. If you've ever had a patient with spleen cancer, you need to use this remedy very, very high, 10 m's, 50 m's, and it will take the pain down. It will really help minimize the pains that they're getting in the spleen. Oh, Taraxacum, the humble dandelion. Okay, this is a big liver, spleen remedy and kidney remedy. Okay, it increases the activity of the pancreas. So it's a diabetogenic remedy. It helps prevent diabetes. In Ghana, when you're here, the dandelions grow to about 2 feet. They're huge. And people here use the leaves in their soups and their stews. And it's a great blood purifier and a fantastic tonic. And it always makes me feel sad that people are constantly pouring glyphosates on them and trying to kill them when, in fact, it's a very, very good food and herb. Okay, the heart, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a muscular organ. It's a pump, okay? And it's related to your emotions. It's interrelated with adrenaline, noradrenaline, and the thyroid hormone, which, if you've got a hyperthyroid, you'll notice your heart will be beating really, really fast. But there are essential minerals that are necessary for the proper functioning of the heart. If you haven't got enough magnesium, potassium, sodium, you will end up with a palpitating heart. Okay, so one of the big remedies, I'm sure a lot of you know this, is cactus. It's a heart tonic. It normalizes the heart rhythm. And what you see in cactus as a remedy is this constriction, especially when you've got angina, that there is this belt that is tight around the heart, that is tightening around the heart. So it's a great heart remedy. Crataegus. This is a fantastic heart remedy. You can use it as a tonic. Patients can be on it for a very, very long time without any problems. But in terms of remedy use, it's good for hyper or hypotension problems, cardiac arrhythmias. It normalizes the heart function in a very, very, very gentle way. It's a fantastic tonic for the heart. And you can use it over a long period of time for people with high blood pressure, etc., etc. It's great for anemia too. Tilia, again, this is a remedy which is very good for high blood pressure and for the heart. And this is good for patients whose high blood pressure comes from stress. Okay, so it relaxes the whole system. And again, another migraine remedy. The small intestines. Any problems here, you'll see things like worms, infections, etc., etc. This is where you're assimilating a lot of stuff. So stuff comes emotionally from the stomach, and then it's absorbed in the small intestines. It's an important organ. And problems here are between 1 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon. So big remedy, Artemisia. If you've ever had a small child who's got worms, Artemisia is a remedy, or even as a tincture will expel worms. It's very, very good at expelling worms. It's great for healing insect bites. So if you've got, if you've been bitten by mozzies and things like that, and you find that it's turning infectious, etc., put some Artemisia tincture, tincture on it. Okay, so it's great for blemishes and ulcers. Glycyrrhizia, I talked about this remedy earlier. It's very good as an anti-inflammatory, but licorice has a big impact on the whole endocrine system. So it relaxes. So if you're very, very stressed, this is going to affect the whole of your digestive system. So it's better if you've got inflammatory processes, it will bring that down, but it will relax you so you're not as stressed. So the digestive system starts functioning a lot better, and it's better than any antacid. If you've ever had indigestion, really bad indigestion because you ate something that didn't work for you and you've got some licorice, take it, because within about half an hour to an hour, all those symptoms of indigestion will be gone. The bladder, 3 to 5 p.m. emotionally, it's linked to negative feelings, hurt, irritation, and anger. Okay, so 3 to 5 p.m. When we used to do the face-to-face clinic, I would look at the students when they'd gone out for lunch, and you could see whatever they'd eaten would affect them in the, during the last half of the day. So if they'd eaten something that affected the heart, you'd see that. If it had affected the liver, the bladder, then you'd find people would be nodding off, feeling extremely exhausted in the bladder area. So big remedy for the bladder, equisetum. This is a remedy for the genitourinary system. It is for incontinence, especially in children, that you can find no reason whatsoever. It acts as a mild diuretic, and it's very, very rich in silica. And again, it's good for benign enlargement of the prostate, and it's anti-inflammatory. One of my favorites is sarsaparilla. It's a diuretic, and it's great for urinary gravel. And the other remedy that I like using for the bladder is lycopodium. It's anticipatory fear, because when you're looking at the 5 elements, it's related to emotions. And on top of the kidneys sit the adrenals. So lycopodium is a big bladder and kidney remedy. So sarsaparilla stimulates perspiration, and it's good for gravel and stones in the bladder. So kidneys, 5 to 7 p.m. Okay, so it stores essential zheng, and the energy passes into the fetus by the parents through the adrenal glands. This is where the inherited information is passed from one generation to the other. So they rule birth, development, and maturation. They're very, very important glands. And of course, we know them for dealing with stress. Okay. So berberis, this is one of my favorite kidney remedies. It supports the kidneys. It's great for kidney pain. There's a bubbling sensation in the kidneys, burning soreness in the kidneys. The urethra burns. The urine is thick and mucousy, yellow and sandy. So it's a great remedy for kidney problems. Parsley, this is a diuretic, and it's rich in vitamin C, and it gently stimulates the kidneys, and it shouldn't be used in pregnancy in large quantities because it has this relaxing effect on the uterus. Okay, I have rushed through all my remedies. And yeah, I think I finished just in time.
Hi, sorry. I can never find the button when I need to. Yeah, that was good, Ellen. Does anybody have any questions? Feel free to pop them in the Q&A section at the bottom. I do have one for you, Ellen.
Yeah.
In heric medicine, licorice is not good if you have high blood pressure. What about homeopathic remedies or herbal medicine?
Well, you know, if you have high blood pressure, then you can use it as a homeopathic remedy. If you don't want to use it as a tincture for digestive problems, but there are other remedies. If you've got digestive problems with high blood pressure, then you may want to use nux vomica. You can use licorice in potency, but one of my favorite combinations for high blood pressure is nux vomica, cortisone, and natmor. That combination really seems to take blood pressure down. Because most people's blood pressure is due to the fact that they're stressed. And when you're stressed, you lose all your essential vitamins and nutrients. So you want to go back to the stress, and cortisone in potency, homeopathic cortisone, will do that. When you're taking it as a drug, it will have the opposite effect. It will make your blood pressure go up because it'll make you lose magnesium, sodium, etc.
Great. Nux, cortisone, and what? So
Nux, cortisone, and natmor.
Okay. Any remedies for excessive perspiration?
Yes, the best remedy for excessive perspiration. First of all, I say to people, look, it's a symptom. You need to know the cause. And if the cause is a shock and a trauma, the best remedy for it is opium. Opium will do with excessive perspiration and too little perspiration. So, but you need to find the cause, because the remedies are just communication to the body to bring itself in balance. If you don't know the cause, you won't get the result you want from the remedy. I can say to you, look at opium, but if the cause of the excessive sweating is not because of a shock and trauma, you'll think that it doesn't work. So you need to get back to why there's excessive sweating.
So she's saying it's due to stress.
Yeah, so if it's due to stress, then, you know, look at your big stress remedies, i.e. anticipatory stress. Look at things like lycopodium, arginate, gelsemium. You could use opium, you know, in that. Or one of the SAR codes that would be very good for this would be adrenaline and homeopathic potency.
Somebody's asking about getting tinctures. She says normally it's Dora. Her name's Dora. She says normally she would get it from you, but is it okay to get it from Ainsworth?
Yeah, the thing is, there's a difference between the homeopathic tinctures and the herbal tinctures. My suggestion is you're better off buying your tinctures from Indigo Herbs. It's cheaper. They're very, very good company. They do a lot of organics. I really trust their products, because the ratio of alcohol to the organic stuff when you're buying homeopathic tinctures is 1 to 10, whereas in herbal tinctures it's 3:1. So you get more of the organic material in it, so it becomes more of a food. When you're using homeopathic mother tinctures, you need less, so you need 5 drops, but you do need to let it stand so that the alcohol, because they use ethanol, evaporates.
Okay. Salvador is asking, how often do you use remedies for organ support?
Do you know, I use organ supports a lot in my practice. In London, the vast majority of my patients need some sort of organ support because their key organs are not functioning. Even if they've got clear mental, emotional stuff, I'll often, because I work in developing a treatment strategy for my patient, and I am using methodologies to work out where I'm going to work with my patient. So if there's an underlying cause, but the organs are the obstacle to cure because they're not functioning properly, or they're not absorbing the right nutrition because the digestive system isn't functioning well, then I will address that so that they have the resources to deal with the mental emotional issues that are going on. Some people are quite strong and you can support the organs and the mental emotional issues at the same time. So yeah, organ support makes a big part of my practice. And what I'm looking for when people are telling me things, I'm looking for time modalities, when they don't feel well and what emotions are actually have traumatized them so that an organ isn't working properly. So going back to the liver is a big one. It's like ailments from anger. It can really disorganize the whole digestive system. And if you don't address it, you won't get the results that you want for your patient.
Okay. This is quite a long one, and I think it's probably best discussed either with you or offline, but maybe you can just shed some light on it for us in general. Somebody said, what do you suggest for a kidney? One kidney has failed in an elderly patient. The other kidney is fine. They have several ailments such as high blood pressure, diabetes, 2 stents in the heart.
Oh,
And
Jesus.
they are on several allopathic medications. How long can the patient be on mother tincture?
Well, so the thing when people are in this state, you can't really use things like, like parsley and some of the mother tinctures because they're very high in potassium, you see. So you do need to go back to actually using low potency remedies. When I have patients who are in this state, again, I like to track how they got here, because the biosuit just doesn't do this if there hasn't been an underlying reason. And what happens to most patients is that there is an emotional trauma or issue that's not dealt with. They then go and see their doctor who puts them on a drug. Then that drug has side effects and symptoms. They get put on another drug, and before they know it, they're on 10 or 15 drugs, which are actually your biggest problem. And whilst they're doing that, they're losing things like organs because they're so acidic, and they're getting, gallstone, kidney stones, etc., etc. So the first thing where I always start with people when they're in this state is, look, cell salts. I look at giving people, 12 tissue salts, and getting them to, drink water, do the 12 tissue salts. It's a whole program looking at their diet, their food, and what drugs are causing the chronic disease. So it is a long case, and I'd have to actually see the case to unravel it. But it's important to be a good detective and work out the sequence of events of how they got here. Know exactly what the drugs are doing, because there are drugs which will damage the kidneys, just like water tablets, which are given routinely to people for high blood pressure. They damage the kidneys. Many people lose a kidney just by being on high blood pressure medication. And often the blood pressure goes up because they're stressed and they lost sodium and magnesium, and that's never addressed. So, these are the things when you're taking the case, is find out the sequence of events and how you can support them. But if you're not sure, I would always start with cell salts, the 12 tissue salts.
So we've had a few people ask about copies of the notes and how could they get more material and all of that kind of stuff. So this is actually part of one of the courses that you do, Ellen, isn't it? Where you do organ support.
Yeah, organ supports is what you learn when you're on the, doing the undergraduate or the postgraduate training. It's a big section because it's all about methodologies and how you address particular organs that aren't functioning. Different people and different homeopaths will do it differently. This is the way we do it. We use the organ clock to guide us on what organs are not functioning. So just by knowing the time modalities, it will help you to work out what's going on. So if you're getting migraine headaches at a particular time, every time you get them and you wake up in the early hours of the morning, you may want to question whether your large intestines are functioning properly, what your grief issues are. If you're getting, your migraine headaches around about 11 p.m. at night, you may want to look at your gallbladder. And it's understanding the language of the body that will help you as a practitioner to work out what the body is trying to say to you to find its balance. Because when you're using remedies or foods or herbs, what you're doing is you are supporting the body to do the job that it was designed to do, and that is to maintain homeostasis and balance and heal itself. If you ignore it and try to cut it out, suppress it, and do all the amazing things that modern human beings decide to do just so they can eat junk, then, your investment in your health is poor. You want to be investing in your health and looking at where you're going in the next 10 years. If you're in your 40s, you want to feel great in your 50s, not sicker in your 50s. If you're in your 50s, you want to feel fantastic at 60. All it requires is work on yourself and what you're putting in your mouth. It's really simple. The body is so happy when you give it what it wants. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got lots of questions on very specific things, like one on depression between hours of 3 and 4. Then
well, to me, that's typical. That's typical grief.
Okay.
If the hours of 3 and 4 a.m. in the morning, then it's grief. If it's in the afternoon, you're looking at your bladder.
Okay. How often would you use X potencies, and how often, if daily?
Well, again, this is up to you as a practitioner, whether you use X potencies, C potencies, or LMs. And you can use your organ supports in low potencies, twice, 2 or 3 times a day for 6-7 months. It's entirely up to you, depending on your case, because you've got to keep remembering your remedies are information. They're not precious, they're information to the body to heal itself. If you aggravate, it's because you have an obstacle to cure that you haven't dealt with. It's just information. Don't get fearful around it. The body will just give you information. So you can do your organ supports for months on end. I've used Narayani Liver Balance, which is a 50M, twice a day for a patient for about 3 or 4 months without any aggravation. If the body needs that information, it will take it, that aggravation.
Last question. Somebody's just asked where they could get good tissue salt products.
All you have to do is to phone up Ainsworth or Helios. They generally tend to do. New Vistas do some great tissue salts. They do the whole range. So it's worth contacting them if you want to get tissue salts for your patients. If you're actually not a practitioner, then it's better to go to, because you have to be a practitioner to get remedies from New Vistas. But it's better then to go to Ainsworth and Helios in London to get them.
And the best way to become a practitioner, obviously, is to do
my course.
Yeah.
If you want to be a practitioner, do the course. I think Kumiko can emphasize it's changed her life. She's had fun, and she's enjoying it.
Yes, I'm enjoying so much. And at the beginning, I started the course just for family care. I'm working in a bank on a full-time basis, but after the course, my view to the health, my passion has completely changed, and now I'm really keen to become a full-time homeopath.
Yeah, I really do our course because it's unique. It's an integrated system of learning. So it's not like conventional learning at all. When you start the course, we ask you to apply everything you're learning to your assignments. We don't do exams. We walk you through the training. The notes are clear. And by the time you get to the third level, you will have integrated herbs, nutrition, and homeopathy. It will be seamless.
And it's BAC approved, so that's British Standard approved. You get vetted every year. Yeah, and I think, you know, I've known you for the past 6 years, and I've seen some great homeopaths come out of this. Yeah, I can testament to that, and so can lots of people. I mean, we've got tons of reviews on our site saying how awesome we are. And somebody has asked, can we do the course online? Yes, you can do the course totally online. I mean, Tamiko, where do you normally live?
In Tokyo.
In Tokyo. So Tamiko's doing it all the way from Tokyo. We have people got somebody from Qatar doing it at the moment, Ireland, all over the world. But if you are situated anywhere in the London area, we have a London clinic as well. Yeah, so you can, and we're doing live clinics now online as well. So you can even hold a tutor. You'll always be assigned a tutor, and your tutor will help you with your patients. So I hope that answers that question about can you do it online. Do the undergraduate courses allow one to access remedies that wouldn't be accessible otherwise, Ellen?
Yeah, yes, you can. I mean, you know, as an undergraduate, you can access any remedies that you want. So that's not a problem. I think the biggest problem for some people is whether you're in a country that has a pharmacy. But even, you know, students who studied in America, they've ordered a lot of their stuff from Helios, you know, homeopathic pharmacy. Same in Japan, a lot of remedies come from Helios in the UK. So it doesn't, you can access any remedy that you want. Why? I'm going to say this again. Homeopathy is a safe system of medicine. Your remedies are just information. They're working on a quantum level. Okay, they're nothing in common with drugs. It has a lot more in common with acupuncture. It's very safe.
Just to say that Sharon Cousins,
yeah,
or is it Cousins or Cousins? I might be saying it wrong. She says it's a superb course. That's why I am a very successful homeopath and the busiest one I know. Thank you very much. She's just
thank you, Sharon.
She's obviously on the course.
Hello, it's great that you joined me for the webinar.
Inda's asked about more details of the course. Inda, if you like, and I will pop our email address in the bottom. You can email us or visit the site at the admin@thecph.co.uk, and Ellen or Som or one of the other ladies will be in touch with you to give you more details. I'm just going to pop that in the chat box at the bottom. You just drop us a message and we can chat about it there. How long is the courses, Fiona asking, Ellen?
The course as well, if you're doing the undergraduate, it's 3 levels, and each level has 10 modules, and we encourage you to finish a level within 12 months. So you have 12 months to finish a level. So in theory, it takes about 3 years, but there are exceptions to the rule. There are some people who get, especially if they don't have children and family, and they've got the time, they can get through it a lot faster. So some people have completed, you know, a level in 6 months. So, and they turned out to be really good homeopaths too. Some people have taken slightly longer. We try to totally discourage them from taking longer. So they end up paying an admin fee for taking so long, but it's entirely up to them what they do with their money. But we do give you 12 months, although there are only 10 modules. And that's quite normal, because life happens, things happen to people, so they may need the extra 2 months to catch up. The postgraduate takes 12 modules, and it normally takes the average postgraduate student about 18 months, but you do have some exceptions to the rule that do it in 10 or 8 months.
Okay. And I think that's it for tonight. Thank you everybody for joining us. If you want any more details, just email us at admin@thecph.co.uk, or just go to the cph.co.uk website, and we will answer all the questions there that we possibly didn't get to answer tonight. Like our Facebook page and us on Instagram. We are Learn Homeopathy on Instagram and Learn Homeopathy on Twitter, and we are the College of Practical Homeopathy on Facebook. I hope everybody enjoyed that, and we'll chat to everybody soon. Thanks, Ellen.
Thank you very much from Ghana.
Cool. Good connection tonight, by the way.
I know it was.
All right. Have a good evening.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.